My name is Charlotte Earhart. I grew up in Southeast Kansas. I have lived in Texas longer, but this is mainly home for me. I've had a lot of different kinds of positions. I've been a secretary administrative assistant most of my life. However, there were a few situations. I had moved to Rochester, Minnesota, which is where Mayo Clinic is.
Yes.
And you either went to work for the Mayo Clinic or IBM, and IBM was laying off, so
Okay.
I went to work for Mayo Clinic, and I ended up in a position that was it was an administrative assistant position.
Yeah.
And another position became available within the Mayo Clinic organization, and I applied for that. And I had all the qualifications that which included, one of the things they included was a degree in public administration, and I had a degree in public administration,
Nice.
which is not that common.
Wow.
But when I applied for the job, my boss called me in and he said that I either would withdraw my application or he would deny my ability to transfer. So
Wow.
he had been there 25 years and I'd been there one.
Wow.
So my options were pretty limited at the time.
Yes.
So I looked around and I thought, okay, what does Rochester, Minnesota, where is a niche that needs to be filled that there isn't? And I noticed that there were flower shops on every corner. And I didn't want to open another flower shop, but being from the Dallas area, cookie bouquets were very well known here. And so I thought, well, that's a wonderful niche that Rochester didn't have.
Right.
And so I decided, I started investigating what it took to get a franchise.
Okay.
And so I went to the bank and got the loan and bought into the franchise, and then found a shop, a storefront shop.
Okay. Okay.
And did the negotiating for the lease, and you know, got it all set up to start a cookie bouquet, and then started the company, and it was very exciting
That is amazing.
to offer that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the cultural changes that I would encounter.
Oh.
Um,
How so?
Well, people from Minnesota are very loyal to Minnesotans.
Okay.
And I would have several people come into the shop,
Okay.
and where I think that I talk like everyone else, I would say about one sentence, and they would go, "And where are you from?"
Oh, okay.
And I would say, "Well, I've moved here from Texas."
Okay.
And you would see the wall just go up.
Oh,
You're not one of us, and we don't have to
goodness.
support you.
Oh, wow.
So,
Interesting.
Overcoming that
Yes.
was a little bit, a little bit of a battle.
Okay.
When I left, though, the schools had passed a rule that you couldn't bring homemade things to school for birthdays and that kind of thing. So I had a mother that called me and ordered 30 cookies in an arrangement in a basket.
Oh, goodness.
And that's money in the bank. So,
Nice.
so it was really,
Wow.
but probably one of the sweetest. There are rewards to everything
That's
that
true.
you do,
That's true.
and probably one of the greatest rewards was the thing that cookie bouquets offer is something for men when they could care less about flowers.
That's true. That's
So
true.
this is something I got a call one day. I'd only been in business a little over a month. I got a call from Anheuser-Busch in Colorado,
Ooh.
and they said, "We have a race car driver who's coming to Mayo to have his right leg amputated. What can you do?"
Oh,
And my heart just went out to him. I said, "Well, if I have your permission to use your logo, I can do anything."
Okay.
Even though I'd only been in business about a month.
That's amazing.
But I ran down to there was a liquor store about a block away, so I went down and and I got a long neck bottle.
Okay.
I got, because we had rectangular cookies, so I got a Budweiser, Bud Light Ice.
Okay.
We had race cars, cookies, cookie designs,
Nice.
and then 2 message cookies. And
Okay.
I created all of those,
Uh-huh.
and then the message cookies, when they were doing the theme of "We love you, man," and "This bud's for you."
Oh,
So I
love
did 2
it.
message cookies and took it
That's
to
so
him.
good.
And he and his wife came by the shop in his crutches on his way home, and he said, "I know that this took a lot of effort, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it." He said, "We have one of these in my hometown. I've never even been in it, but you really
Touched
made
them
an
all.
effort."
Wow.
So, and then we had
Yes.
some grandparents that maybe their children had leukemia in the hospital.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, we do things that are peculiar to, like one grandma said, my granddaughter never leaves the house without wearing her pink cowboy boots. So we did cookies of pink cowboy boots and her dog, and you know, wrote Spot on it, and
So
you know, things that
sweet.
are that were a blessing to the people.
Individual,
that they went to.
independent for that.
So
that's beautiful.
That was my reward for
Yes.
stepping out and
Yeah.
and not accepting
The
and
status
being
quo,
angry that he had said that to me.
Yeah. Wow, because it could have
So,
turned another way.
Yes,
Yes.
I could have harbored that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
no,
You
I
decided to let it go in that.
did,
And that is
did
a
something
leadership
with it.
quality. And that's one other thing that I wanted to mention on here. The reason why I asked Miss Charlotte is because I do look up to her, and as a woman, as a strong woman. You are a strong woman, and you've shown that to me, even though you're currently maybe not working in that dynamic anymore. But you still show that. You still show that you're a woman that doesn't mind going against the status quo, or going against maybe the things that the secular world says you shouldn't do. So tell me more about those opportunities. What other opportunities were maybe not so much?
Well, interestingly enough, when my husband and I married about 11 years ago, I moved to Houston to be Kingwood, to be there with him. And years ago, I felt like that the Lord called me to work with unwed mothers. And I had, all my life, I had done that kind of as a side, a hobby, doing what, staying active with pro-life issues, and I have been the woman with the sign on occasion at Planned
I can
Parenthood.
see that. I can see that.
And some things like that.
Yes.
But I never really felt like I fulfilled what he would have me do with that calling on my life. And so I was in Houston, and we had a God appointment. We were at a payway for lunch, and it ended up with there were about 10 people, about 5 couples that ended up there after Sunday school. So we all pulled the tables together, and we started talking. And I had turned to a man that I knew was on the board of the school there, and I said, "How can you help me to get in and teach abstinence among the students?" And he said, "Well, you really need to talk to my wife, because she was teaching at the time."
Okay.
And so I started asking her, how can I have some DVDs that teach about abstinence, and we need to reach the young people at an early age in junior high, before they're old enough to really,
engage in that activity. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so about that time, my husband punched me, and he said, "You need to be in the conversation on this end of the table." And every other couple, there were about 4 other couples, had recently moved to the Kingwood area, and they had volunteered at crisis pregnancy centers in other areas of the country, and the only one was in downtown Houston, and they didn't want to go downtown.
Oh,
so
my word.
I looked at him and said, "Well, if the only one is in downtown Houston, then we need Kingwood needs a crisis pregnancy center." And they were all like, "Yeah, right." And I said, "Well, we need to start one." And they were like, "Sure, go ahead. Yeah. You do it."
Yeah.
I'm like,
You got the truth, huh?
It's not that hard. The Crisis Pregnancy Center, we
Oh.
got forms from other centers,
That's
and
amazing.
everybody's wonderful to help with, you know, what you need to do to get set up to go. And
Yeah.
and the reward was
Yeah.
all the lives that we were able
Of
to touch.
course.
I mean, there was a Muslim couple that came in,
Okay.
and because of their lack of understanding the American language real clearly,
Yeah.
the husband thought he was bringing, because it said all our services are free, so
Uh-huh.
he thought he was bringing his wife in for an abortion,
Wow.
and she was devastated. I mean, she was just, she wouldn't even look up. Her whole demeanor was, you know, she was very beat down, and so we separated them.
Okay.
And we talked to her,
Uh-huh.
and that's policy. I mean, we even
Yes.
separated mother and daughter. I
Okay.
mean, you talk to the person who is experiencing the
Yes.
situation apart from the influence of anyone
That's
else.
That's wise.
So we talked to her, and she said that she didn't want that, but that he was making her do that they weren't citizens, and they didn't have any money, and so he was making her do that, and she didn't want that. So then I went out to him and started talking to him about, do you understand what this is? We're not an abortion clinic.
Okay. Okay.
We're here to help you find medical attention, you know, all the things that you need. We're here to walk. And they did have a little boy later that year.
Precious.
Those are the rewards.
Wow.
Trying to meet the
What a great
needs
reward.
of people that came to us that
So,
needed help.
looking back, Ms. Charlie, just to close this up, looking back at your leadership risks and just stepping out, you know, what would you say were like the biggest things that made you actually do it? Because they're big projects.
Yes,
These have
they
been
are.
very big
They
projects that
are.
you've done and stepped out, and I don't know that many women that would.
I gave my heart to the Lord when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And so all my life I was taught you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you.
Wow.
And He has given me a confidence
That's beautiful.
in most anything that I've endeavored,
Wow.
that if He's called me to it, He's going to
Yes.
equip me for it.
Amen.
And allow those things
So good.
to come to be. And
So
He's been
good.
so faithful in confidence, in the ability to win friendships.
Yeah.
Lots of beautiful, wonderful friendships that He's given me
Yes.
over time. And like I said, just the ability for people to see that the love of Jesus that flows through me. I don't recognize it because
Wow.
He's been there forever.
Yes.
And yes, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life,
yes.
but He's never let me go
So good.
beyond the point of no return.
So good.
He's always
So good.
wooed me and pulled me
Yes.
back. And yes, so I
Wow.
know whom I believe,
Yes.
and am persuaded that He's able to keep that which I've committed unto Him against
So
that day,
good. Thank you, Father.
because He is who He says He is.
Yes.
And
yes.
He gives me the boldness and the confidence to
Yes.
step out and do things that He's called me to,
Wow.
that maybe
So
I
good.
wouldn't have done ordinarily.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. This has been truly heartfelt for me, and I know you've blessed the listeners as well. Well, Professor Hayes, Mrs. Charlotte was a pleasure to sit with. I got a lot of strength from her, from someone who's an entrepreneur and a business person. The type of leader that she is, that she was able to overcome gender situations, and that she was also able to overcome other obstacles, as you've heard through the video, and be able to be a self-starter and be able to start things that nobody else has started in her area. So I got a lot of encouragement from her and a lot of courage. So I was definitely very pleased to sit with her. I learned a lot, that even through her challenges, there are a lot of rewards. as you have heard the many testimonies that she has shared. Thank you so much.